What's up everyone, it's King Gamber here and I'm back with a new YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoy. In this video we're going to be breaking down and analyzing, taking a look at the Mortal Kombat 1 official gameplay trailer. Yesterday we went over a reaction video on the trailer and the extended gameplay, and today we're going to be breaking down and analyzing and taking a look at a lot of things. We're going to go a little bit in slow-mo. Press pause and see if we can capture on some of the things that maybe we missed out at first glance of the trailer. But before we get into today's YouTube video, be sure to leave in the comment section down below what are your overall thoughts on the Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay trailer. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And let me know what are some things that you hope to be changed. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So we start off with Sub-Zero that's on the top of the roof, and it looks like he's already making an attack on the Shaolin. So we're looking at two characters, right? So we're looking at possibly what could be looked at as the Great Kung Lao and maybe Kung Lao himself. I'm not really sure, or that's just an ancestor part of the Great Kung Lao. So already looking at attack, and as we can see also there's already someone who's laid out in the background. We can't really see too much on who it is, but it's a little bit of an addition, right? Because that could be a potential character that could possibly also be in the game for the future, who knows? Or it could just be, you know, just like kind of like just like a side character that's just part of the story mode. But we see that he's laid out. We don't have really too much context on it to be able to realize or understand who that very well is. And one thing that a lot of people didn't weren't able to capitalize and analyze is the symbol right here on Scorpion's chest is actually a Lin Kuei symbol. And this is really, you know, interesting because Scorpion has always been part of the Shiryu clan, and Sub-Zero's always been Lin Kuei, but because the storyline is different in this timeline, both Sub-Zero and Scorpion are actually brothers, and this time they're actually part of the same clan. So I think that's really interesting. So I feel like in the story mode we're gonna actually get to see like development of the characters, like powers, because they don't have them quite yet. And this is a first like prime example of how that might go about. So obviously we saw Kung Lao toss his hat at Sub-Zero to his head, and it did nothing. It's like throwing like a straw hat at someone, and really it's not gonna do really too much. Compared to, he grabs a disc off of the wall, and for those who don't know, if we go back to Mortal Kombat X, it actually is a a weapon that Kung Jin uses, and that's an ancestor you know, of Kung Lao. So he actually grabs like one of the Shaolin disc off of the wall, and I feel like this is like the first like development that we're gonna see for Kung Lao to like possibly get his buzzsaw hat. Who knows? Or maybe he can also have like a projectile in the game that like includes the disc. It's really like all like speculation in the beginning of having the whole gameplay trailer and being able to see, okay, because we don't really understand, and we don't know how the characters got their powers, or like, you know, how they basically became who they are. And throwing this disc at Sub-Zero, it actually cuts him right here. And I love this in the background, how the background CI is actually like reacting like to the disc and actually prevents it, as we can kind of take a look and see it right here. But it actually cuts Sub-Zero. And if we get on more with the trailer, we see that there's really no blood, there's no like cut on Sub-Zero. So kind of interesting on how that really is possible, because if we press pause at the right moment, we hear and we see that he gets cut blood wise, but when we skip ahead, there's no blood on him. And I know what you're saying. You're gonna be like, well, Gamber, he got cut on the back of his arm, so I mean, you're not gonna really see it, but you would still see blood on somewhat of his arm that he got cut. So kind of curious, kind of interesting. I don't know, maybe they'll change that. This is just the first gameplay, you know, trailer reveal. There are still things that could potentially change. The game is still 3 months out, so possibly that NRS is still working on this.
I've had enough of you. Then go before I put you down. Fight.
Okay, so key thing to really point out right there is that is a confirmation that throws in this game are still highs. And I know a lot of people already on, social media, a lot of like players that are been on, Twitch, they've already been, a little bit disappointed that throws are still highs, as they believe that, Duck OS is something that's going to be able to come back in the game. And for those who don't know what Duck OS is basically where you're like blocking, but then you let go of block and then you block again to basically like prevent, or it like whiffs a throw if you're like off on your timing. Then that means they're able to, like prevent it overall. And even doing so, if you go for attack, you're able to block in time as well. So a lot of people are disappointed that throws are highs, but it's just another confirmation for the Mortal Kombat game. I mean, Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat 9, I believe all throws were highs in that game. So it's another basically, just what's it called? Familiar trait, I guess, is just returning back for Mortal Kombat 1. And this is, okay, so I actually got this pointed out for me. And I didn't see it at first glance, but someone pointed it out on Twitter, and it was really interesting. If we press pause right here at this very moment, this poster right here is, I mean, I know it's really hard to like see or tell. Let me see if I can actually like zoom in. Okay, no, I really can't. It's okay. But we can see that's a poster of Su Hao. And Su Hao is a 3D like era character. And he, with the reversal of the timelines, this is a whole different storyline. That means that Su Hao is still in existence. And I know that, this is like potential game. There's a lot of things to start over on. And, taking a look at, who's been revealed and like who's potential cameo, which we're also going to do a breakdown and analysis on gameplay, on the gameplay itself. We're going to do that in the next video. Right now we're just going over the trailer. But that means, Su Hao is right there in the background. I'm not really sure if he's going to be like included in the game, or if this is like kind of like a first like hint that he's just not going to be a part of the game, but he'll just be a part of the story mode. Who knows? I know that NRS is really working on bringing back characters, and this is a potential. Maybe this is a little Easter egg that we do get a potential look, and maybe a little bit of a confirmation for the future that Su Hao is part of the game. Sub-Zero still has his ice ball. And this is really interesting also because you can see that Sub-Zero has a skull, and it's actually like someone's like skull, ice frozen skull that he's actually hitting their opponents with, and it's actually like leading into combo. And speaking of the combos, we now have arsenal combos. We have combos that are done in the air, and this is like a first, I believe, first ever that Mortal Kombat 1 is actually doing air combos like this. And I know what you're saying. Well, Gambler, Katana and MKX had air combos. Spectral Ermac had air combos. But this is not quite like that. We actually have combos that are kind of similar to like Dragon Ball FighterZ, how you would launch an opponent into the air and you're able to combo and continuously keep the combo going, especially since you're going to have cameos and assists, which we're going to see throughout the trailer as well. You're having these like different additions that's going to be able to impact the gameplay, and it's super interesting too, because that means like this is like gameplay that like not only are like other like company genres like used to, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, for example, they're used to performing combos in the air, but Mortal Kombat itself has never had that. So this is like something that in the beginning all of us players are gonna have to learn over time and be able to master these type of combos.
Today you have proven worthy of joining us. Come.
Oh, and we're gonna press pause right there.
Today you have proven worthy of joining us.
So as we talked about in the very beginning about Sub-Zero and Scorpion being part of the Lin Kuei, there's our first little glance at a Lin Kuei ninja. And who knows, we had characters like Sector and Cyrax that were part of the Lin Kuei. this could be, you know, a little bit of a development of the Lin Kuei storyline, and being able to see how about, you know, how exactly did they really become, you know, the Cyber Initiative, if we're actually going to see that in the storyline. And if so, if we do actually get to see them in the story mode, is that a potential shot that we actually get to see them on, you know, main game roster, or even part as cameos? And one thing that we have been noticing as we continuously watch the trailer, I don't want to spoil, but there's a lot of things that kind of go back in time, and you'll see what I mean also when we keep watching it, but back in time to getting into right now. And it's a potential chance that we go and we get to explore a little bit more of the Lin Kuei storyline, and we get to, you know, see some cool additions that we didn't get to see back then.
Come. There are other champions, I must gather.
What do you want?
Sento. It's my...
So I love this. I love this little. First off, I think these graphics and the detailing of it is so beautiful, right? You get to see like the fire. It looks nicely like flamed. All the, you know, trophies in the background. It looks really nice. You get to see the blades. Like, everything looks beautiful about this. You get to see a little Easter egg on, you know, the martinis, and then, you know, I guess Johnny Cage had a woman over the brawl right here. I think that's funny. Oh, well, I guess you can't really see it. Let me get out of the way. But you get to see, like, the martinis right here, and you get to see a brawl. I guess a woman was here for Johnny Cage. Who knows? I don't know. But, yes, this detailing is absolutely, like beautiful. And this is in 1080p, by the way. I understand I'm not shooting in 4K, but this is 1080p. So it's super nice on the detailing and the work that NRS put into it. Compared to Mortal Kombat 11, you can already see the improvement.
My family blade.
Sento's mine, and I won't give it up without a fight.
So this is confirmation, this is like hype, that Kenshi is returning in the game. And here's our first look at like a super activated, and this is, you're gonna see the detailing on this. First off, speaking of detailing, I promised in the past that we had never seen Kenshi had tattoos, and we can see on both of his hands and his arms potentially, he's got tattoos. So he's all, you know, tattooed up, and it's really different and a different approach to the character himself. Obviously, we're known as Kenshi to be blind, and I believe that in the story mode, we're actually going to get more like of a concept or more of like a vision on how that goes about. I think this is super cool how they're able to include cameos into like the Fatal Blow.
Enough.
And we can kind of see right here also, first off, the look on Liu Kang and just like his overall appearance is actually really nice. We see that Kenshi's tied up in the background. We see, you know, obviously, this is obviously like, it has to be a Johnny Cage like story trailer, because if that was the case, then Kenshi would not be the one tied up, it would be Johnny Cage. But you're gonna kind of see like Liu Kang is gonna be the one talking to Johnny Cage in this, and you see the Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It looks like they're here to break up the fight, and Liu Kang, like, not being able to get across to, you know, Johnny Cage, Liu Kang is gonna be the one to make an appearance.
Okay, let's go back to one here. Who are you again?
Lord Liu Kang, protector of Earthrealm, god of fire.
Jax is returning, and I want to just take a look at this really fast, because this is something really to keep in mind with the whole gameplay, and this is like a first look at it. Like, if you didn't catch it, then this is something big to really pay attention on. Notice how they're mid-screen right here in the stage, and then performing the whole combo, executing the Jax cameo. They're sent all the way to the corner, and I feel like this is really important to pay attention to, because there's going to be a lot of corner carrying in this game. And what that means is that you're able to apply a lot of offense to your opponent and push and send them to the corner, regardless if you're just mid-screen. I know that it's like more of like work to like be able to like push or get your opponent to the corner, especially unless they're like walking back, how you've seen on my gameplay, how I, you know, tendency walk back to the corner as far as patience. But that was mid-screen, and they actually with the cameo, with the attacks, they go all the way from mid-screen to the left side of the screen in just one combo. So that just goes to show how much of the combo diversity is kind of coming back, and as well as how many attacks and how much of the move set is really able to push opponents to the corner. Air combos, beautiful. Once again. And a really interesting addition also to point out really fast is that Scorpion actually has a slide this time, and compared to when he had the demon rush attack that was in Mortal Kombat 11, I'm not really 100% sure on the details of it, but he actually had like a move that, you know, kind of like where he turned like into fire like Scorpion, and he charged at his opponent and he kind of flamed them a little bit. But this time is differently because Scorpion actually has a slide compared to how like Sub-Zero is. So really cool and great addition that they made to make the character a little bit diverse. 4-4 has returned.
You have skills, Raiden, but you're inexperienced.
And as you can kind of see, like I was talking about earlier, about this is Kenshi and whatnot. And I believe this is the Wuxi Temple. And this is kind of like, you can see like that's like the White Lotus like logo right there on Raiden. And people were wondering like what I guess like clan is Raiden gonna be a part of? Like, is she Shaolin? Like, what is it? This is a little bit confirmation on White Lotus still being a thing in the game. And not only that, but we get to see development on how Raiden actually becomes Raiden, you know, having the, you know, thunder god powers. And this is like a first glance and look at it, but super interesting for those who didn't get to see like what I was talking about earlier. This is Kenshi, and he actually has the tattoos to add that, you know, detail to his character.
Whatever experience I lack, I make up for in heart.
So we can kind of see right there how Raiden's able to like develop and, you know, gain his powers. And as I was saying earlier, and I was like, you're gonna see what I mean about like going back in time and having that, you know, first look, as we saw it from Jax, and now we're seeing it from Sonya, that they're able to have their classic like MK1 or MK2 appearance from back then in the 90s. And I think that's big too, because this game is called Mortal Kombat 1, and with the whole storyline changing and whatnot, they're actually going back in time and they're bringing back the old costumes, which I think is a perfect and great addition to, you know, the characters like overall development. Kano once again has his classic Kano skin. And as I talked about right there, that's a mid-screen combo going all the way to the corner. Okay, so this is like a key thing I wanted to point out, as you can kind of like, we're going to fast forward right here. We're going to see if we can get a perfect image of this. So we pressed pause. I know it's a little like, you can't really see too much because of the lighting, but this is Kenshi right here, and now we see that Kenshi actually has a suit. He's all suited up. Still not blind. He still doesn't have his blindfold over his eyes, so he's still not blind at this point in time. But we see that Melina looks like a normal human being, like compared to how she normally looks like she's not really necessarily a monster, but like she's not quite human, if that makes sense. She has the sharp teeth, but in this image, clearly pictured, we see that she is actually human. She doesn't have the mask over her mouth. Her teeth like kind of look really, they're not really like that sharp teeth yet, but then they're gonna discuss and talk about
your disease becomes known, you will be
how she has a disease. And I feel like a lot of people are like wondering, what is the disease about? And I feel like it's really this could be kind of like how Melina becomes who Melina is, how she was human at first, and then she gets maybe tested by like Shang Tsung, who is potentially looked at as the main villain, and she gets put in some sort of disease, and she becomes who Melina actually is, you know, with the sharp teeth, really, you know, gore-like, and I guess like aggressive like in her like fatalities. I don't want to like say anything TOS, so this video gets demonetized. But you kind of get whatever I mean by that. And if you don't, then please just, you know, leave a comment section down below saying, Gamer, I don't know what you mean, and I would be happy to try to explain it to you better down there. But yeah, we can kind of see her teeth are starting to become a development compared to what we saw in the first glance in the chair, how she looked normal. She had normal teeth, you know, there was nothing wrong with her, and now we actually get the sharp teeth appearing in Melina's mouth.
Vanished.
And this is really interesting. When I first saw this at first glance, this looked like the Injustice class system was back. I really thought it was. And I understand, too, this is like, when you see right here, the graphics, they don't look too well. My thing is, and my prediction is, I believe that they were working on an Injustice game at first, but then they had a last-second switch, and they switched this to be a Mortal Kombat game. Hence, we get to see the clash, which we normally saw in Injustice. But, however, this isn't, you know, you're going to see this isn't in the game. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this right away. Actually, I'm going to try to see if I can, like, slow-mo this. Oops.
If your disease becomes known,
I'm going to see if I can slow-mo this and press pause. So you can kind of see right there. This is at the character select screen. You see that Goro's hopping out of the background. Sonya's right there as well. This is at the character select screen as if you're loading into the gameplay. So that doesn't entirely mean that clashes are coming back. It's just a little like introduction to get into the game. And I think that's, like, okay, I think that's perfectly fine. It adds, you know, value, and it adds a little bit of hype, how the, you know, characters collide, and then they talk to each other, and it's not actually in-game. And I know people had their doubts saying, man, this is just like Injustice. But in a sense, it's really not. So I think it's okay to, like, safe to say that this game is not really too much of Injustice-like.
I only want what's best for you.
Or do you secretly covet my throne?
See, and then we can kind of, like, see we get into the gameplay. Oh, and this is interesting, right? So we're going to take a pause frame on Goro. This is really interesting. When I first saw this, I'm like, Goro's not as tall or big. And it really, like, it makes me wonder, like, why? Because he's, like, the same height of the characters. And Goro's not like that. You know, everyone knows that Goro's, like, a bigger and, like, taller guy. And he's, like, the same height as, like, everyone else. So it's kind of like a change that I don't personally like. Maybe y'all do. But I personally don't like it. It really takes away from the character's value. But who knows? Maybe that can change over time. Like we said, this is still like early look at it, right? The game still doesn't come out for another 3 months, so it is something very well that they can work and change on. But he still has his punch walk, and it does do a lot of, like, it takes a lot of time for the combo to go out. This is just a beautiful look at the stage. I mean, just looking at the detailing, the lighting, and then you look at the dark lighting in the stage. Like, this is the Living Forest, for those who didn't know. And the Living Forest is known to be, like, really dark in its stage, but the lighting on this makes it look really good, and it's a great fan favorite stage that is returning. And another representation is this is how old Stryker looks like, and it gives confirmation that Stryker is to return, at least as a cameo. I don't think Stryker's too popular to be more of, like, main roster, but at least we get, you know, confirmation that he is going to be a cameo in this game. Oh, okay, so I wanted to point this out. So here's how you can kind of tell that this is like how they started on an Injustice and then they, you know, made this into a Mortal Kombat game, is the supers themselves, or in a sense, because it is actually confirmed, Fatal Blows are returning, but the Fatal Blows startup is actually like, you know, look at how Scorpion is posed and ready to go. It looks exactly like how Flash's was in Injustice 2. And it's kind of like a little bit of like a step back, in my opinion, from NRS's work. But it's so, like, you can kind of see like how they were working on an Injustice game, and then this ended up being a Mortal Kombat game overall. But kind of really interesting. We get to see, you know, this Flash startup pose coming out from Scorpion to, you know, start the Fatal Blow. And also the whole explosion too. It totally brings back Injustice 2 vibes. Like you would see that coming out from Injustice 2, not Mortal Kombat. Like you saw that also. I didn't talk about it earlier because I knew we were going to see Scorpions as well. But you saw it from Kenshi's, how he had like an explosion at the end of his fatal blow attack. And now you're seeing the same thing from Scorpion. So it kind of like has the Injustice 2 like characteristics to its gameplay or traits and whatnot. But it's being like implemented in a Mortal Kombat game. And that may be some things people like or people don't like. And that's why I'm asking. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section.
Finish him.
First look at the fatalities. And I think this is confirmation also that Kano is going to be main roster because we get to actually see a fatality be performed on him. And Ed actually confirmed while we looked at the extended gameplay that, you know, characters that are cameos, like some characters, not all characters, but characters that are cameos are also going to be a part of the main roster. So a little bit of a confirmation that Kano is going to be a part of the main roster. I love this. This is kind of like a little bit of an Easter egg if you didn't catch it at first. But this is kind of like the Hollywood star like moment, but instead of it being like a star, it's actually the character's face, and it has like their name and whatnot in gold platted. And I think that's really cool of a fatality for Johnny Cage. It makes perfect sense to go with his character. Raiden actually looks really cool as human Raiden. And then once again we get to see the classic Sub-Zero like fatality, and then having the pose at the end with Scorpion. Really great stuff. This was, you know, I love the way that they're going about it. I think that that's also going to be like a win pose screen for like the character and their cameo to be at the end. And some people were like, well, where's the other cameo for the opponent? Like, why doesn't he get fatality? Does he run off? Who knows? We don't really have confirmation on that. But I love the whole like win pose like format, and I believe they're gonna like say like Sub-Zero and like Scorpion wins, like kind of like how it's kind of like tag team mode. I don't really know, but really I kind of like the addition that they're going about it. But anyways, yeah, that is gonna do it for, you know, going over, breaking down, and analyzing the whole gameplay, you know, trailer. Tomorrow we're gonna be taking a look at the extended gameplay, and like we're gonna be going over the moveset and list that we actually saw at first glance. But let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below on this whole breakdown analysis. What are your likes and dislikes of this video, or what are your likes and dislikes of the whole trailer as a whole? Anyways, that is gonna do it for this YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys for the next YouTube video. Take care.